Congratulations on making it back for day 2. Today we will be talking all about the pelvic floor. Now, this isn't just for my vaginal birth ladies. This is for all y'all. Even if you had a C-section, your pelvic floor had to carry the weight and pressure of your baby on your pelvic floor for 9 months. So it's not as picture perfect as you may think it is. Now, why is the pelvic floor so important to focus on during your rebuilding? Well, rebuilding the pelvic floor can help with leaking issues, and rebuilding the pelvic floor can help with reestablishing intra-abdominal pressure control, which can help with leaking and also prolapse. And I actually just read a study this morning that about 50% of women after baby at some point, and this could be 6 years down the road, 50% of women will get prolapse at some point after baby. So this is super important if you haven't already gotten that. So the pelvic floor works to help stabilize the lumbar spine and also the pelvic bones. And rebuilding the pelvic floor can also help strengthen the integrity of the vaginal wall. That's again where like prolapse like support can come from. And rebuilding the pelvic floor can even help reestablish strength in your core muscles, believe it or not. So I want to go quickly through what is called, and I didn't coin this phrase, it's called the canister. Now, this is comprised of your diaphragm, your abdominal wall, spinal muscles, and pelvic floor. And I want to explain again why it's important to start with this work before going into the gym and doing heavy weights, if that 50% statistic wasn't enough for you. But because of your pregnancy and growing baby, your diaphragm has been shoved under your rib cage. Your ab muscles have been stretched out and weakened from all that belly growth, and your pelvic floor muscles are all out of whack from holding the weight of the baby, and the pelvic floor has stretched out. And if you had a vaginal delivery, then that's kind of taken a little bit more to the extreme. So as you can guess, all these areas have become compromised because of pregnancy. And before you bend over or do a heavy lift and blow out your pelvic floor, prolapse, develop a hernia or stretch out the abdominal muscles, diastasis, you really need to learn these few things. One, you need to learn how to manage the internal pressure in your body so that you don't overextend these weak areas and cause things to bulge out where we don't want them to. Now, this is done by proper breathing and pressure management techniques. Secondly, strengthening these areas is also necessary so that they are more resilient to these pressures when they happen. Now, a common question I get is, if I had a C-section, can I skip this step? And as you know already, my answer to that is flat out no. If you watched my intro video, which you should have, I do mention that women with C-sections need to strengthen and rebuild the pelvic floor and are still susceptible to pelvic floor complications. The pelvic floor is what has held up that baby for 9 months. So if you did high intensity work or you ran and jumped and sneezed, during your pregnancy, you are, because you've had a C-section, doesn't mean you're kind of immune to pelvic floor complications. So you have also experienced a stretching of those pelvic floor muscles. So my C-section ladies, please don't skip out on this step. Another question I get is, why should I work on my pelvic floor first instead of my core? And that's kind of more of me perspective with experience and working with, with my training and my certification coach, because, the thought behind it is, everyone wants to do core first because everyone wants to lose the belly. That's the most visual, the aesthetic thing. But that mummy tummy, women want it to go away as fast as possible. But everyone notices it. But my explanation to that is all about pressure management, and that's where the systematic progression and retraining of how to handle pressures comes into play. So I want you to learn how to properly handle pressure on that weak core and pelvic floor first. But think about this. If you are working on the core first, your pressure is forced to go somewhere. And if you're focused on the core, and women overdo core workouts, that pressure, if you don't know how to manage it, will push downwards. And that's why I think there's about that 50% number of women with prolapse comes from, is because we're just hitting that core first, and pelvic floor just does not know what to do, so it freaks out. So if you start the core before the pelvic floor is rebuilt and strong enough to handle that pressure, you could be putting more stress on that weak pelvic floor before it's ready to do things, and then next thing you know, you've got pelvic organ prolapse. So I love to focus on developing a stronger pelvic floor and teaching moms how to properly manage internal pressure first before engaging in more core work. So another question I get from women is, when it comes to rebuilding pelvic floor strength, can I just do Kegels and that will fix my pelvic floor? And now that is a loaded question and not universal to all mamas. This is because not all of us should be doing Kegels, and of the ones that need to do Kegels often end up doing them incorrectly. So let's talk more about Kegels for women that need to do Kegels. A proper Kegel is one that is incorporated into the corrective breath technique that we went through yesterday. Instead of just doing these random squeezes, I'm doing my Kegels. The goal, that was an improv, sorry. The goal is to utilize full inhale, like we've been doing, 360 rib expansion, and then on the exhale, starting with the pelvic floor, you should focus on a squeeze and a lift and a hold of the pelvic floor muscles, then continuing to zip up through the abs before the full exhale is complete, just like we talked about yesterday. And then of course you've got your inhale, which is that full relaxation. Being able to fully relax is also super important for the pelvic floor too. If the pelvic floor can't relax, it means it's overworking to support other areas, and not being able to fully relax is kind of the reason why some women have leakage problems, is that the pelvic floor is overengaged, and it just gives in every once in a while. So it's super stressed. So that's just another topic. However, let's talk about the benefit of a Kegel. The benefit of a Kegel is that they increase the strength and muscle volume of the pelvic floor, and they also help to get the body reconnected again because it retrains some of the neural pathways. Now, the problem with Kegels is that women can already have a tight, overworked pelvic floor, like I mentioned, and some women can get like overzealous and overdo it in the Kegel department, or some women just like fail to realize that Kegels are just one step in the building of strength in the pelvic floor, and often it never progresses to the next level, and the Kegel never gets incorporated into functional practice like it should. So, in today's workout, we're going to go through some basic pelvic floor strengthening exercise that are going to utilize and incorporate Kegels. But before we get started, I did want to talk about prolapse since it has not been talked about all that much. And since I've read that 50% of women experience prolapse, it just kind of seems like it really just needs to be mentioned. So, but it really can occur super easy if you jump into high impact or high intensity workouts too fast after baby. Even if you feel okay, one wrong mismanagement of pressure, like a sneeze, can lead to prolapse. So awareness and management is super important. And in prolapse, it can feel like something is inside the vagina, or the vaginal wall feels really heavy or full. Painful sex is also a symptom. And it can kind of feel like the pelvic organs are traveling down the vaginal canal or even the rectum. And because the pelvic floor is not strong enough to hold all these organs up in place, that's where prolapse comes into play. And although not uncommon in the later months or even many years postpartum, this most commonly tends to happen to moms in the earlier stages because you're still dealing with healing, weakness, the ability to balance pressure, and ligament laxity, which makes the pelvic floor more vulnerable to pressures. So, how can you avoid prolapse? It's all about learning good strategy when you work out or when you lift your baby or when doing things around the house. Controlling your breath and avoiding bearing down is super important. Standing up tall with good posture so that you are not compressing your canister is important. Having realistic expectations, what you can or can't do, super important. And learning how to engage and fully recruit the pelvic floor muscles when needed for a heavier lift or something. Now, if that is not a good enough reason for you to start slow and rehab, I don't know what is. Always remember to work on your foundations with your breathing and posture as you slowly start to progress back into activity after baby. And make sure you incorporate your corrective breathing into your daily movements and exercise, and you want them to become automatic. So I hope today's lesson cleared up some things for you and helped to reinforce that you really need to start off with these basic exercises first. They are so important when it comes to rebuilding your body after baby and preventing injuries. As always, if you have any questions from today's lesson, please post them in the Q&A section. And then also don't forget to post your selfie on Facebook or Instagram of you either doing the workout, after the workout, however you like. I really am enjoying these selfies. So see you in the workout. Bye. Hello and welcome to day 2 of the 5-day New Mom Fit After Pregnancy Challenge workout. It's kind of a mouthful. Well, let's get started with day 2 here. Of course, our main focus today is going to be on the pelvic floor. So whenever you're doing any of these movements, really in the back of the mind, I want you to really be thinking of the contraction and relaxation of that pelvic floor muscle. So just to get ourselves reoriented from our breathing yesterday, we're going to stay in this seated position here, and we're going to work through 10 breaths. And with this focus, again, it's going to be on the pelvic floor. And if you are able to do a Kegel while we do this breath on that exhale, then I would really love you to try to do that for the 10 breaths. And I really like to hear what you're feeling, if you can feel anything. And it's definitely something that we can talk about today. So we're just going to go through 10 breaths, inhale and exhale. Again, focused on with the exhale, we're going to initiate that with a Kegel on the way up. Then we're going to zip up the abs just like yesterday. So really just one add-on here. All right, so let's go. We're going to start with our inhale. Full expansion here, ribs fully expanding. Hopefully you feel better after doing that little massage that we did yesterday. And exhale. Let's start with that Kegel, zipping up that abs. Good job. So we got 9 more of these. So let's go. Inhale and exhale. Feel that pelvic floor. Inhale. Exhale. Good job. Inhale. And exhale. I want you to start your exhale and hold the Kegel. 4, 3, 2, 1. Complete your exhale. Good job. Inhale and exhale. 5 more. Inhale and exhale. Kegel, zip up. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. We're going to do one more. Inhale, exhale, and hold the Kegel. Inhale, exhale, holding Kegel. 5, 4, 3, 2. Continue your exhale. Good job. Hope you nailed it. Love to hear your feedback on that one. It is not easy. Again, if you're not feeling it, again, technique is use a big Swiss ball. You can try and kind of get that feeling engaged. Alrighty, so we're really going to continue to warm up the pelvic floor, do some mobility work, and hopefully you have this laying around. You may need to pause me right now so that you can go grab it, but I want you to get a couple of firm balls. You can use a tennis ball, a racquetball. I'm going to go grab a couple balls here and show you what I've got. I do have this larger ball here. Then this little medium kind of massage ball here. And then this is my lacrosse ball. And it really kind of depends on, how, different levels of, firmness too, because we're really going to actually massage our pelvic floor. So looks a little bit kind of weird. I'm going to start with my medium ball here because it might give you the best visual. And so what you want to do is you're going to start on one side, you're going to, right, left, what have you. And you are going to feel for your sit bone. And then you're going to place the ball just inside your sits bone. So I'm going to come onto my ball, find that sits bone, and you're going to have to kind of maneuver your feet around. And once you have kind of found it, always good to kind of hold it, take a few breaths in that spot, and then kind of move around. So we're really kind of working on giving those pelvic floor muscle attachments a break and a really good massage, working on that mobility. And you can really, just like the massage that we did on our spine and our rib cage, is you really kind of go with the flow and feel where you need it. And of course, with a larger ball, you're really not going to be as exact. It's going to be more of a broad massage. So depending on where you're at in your healing and recovery, you do want to kind of get down into that smaller ball eventually, because you can really get into some deep corners. So pause this video, find some balls, and I say do this, as long as you need to. And then once you're ready to come back to the next exercise, unpause it, and then we will continue together with the next exercise. All right, I hope you've put your balls away. We are going to move on to the next warm-up exercise. And again, we're continuing to focus on the pelvic floor throughout. And our next one is going to be a happy baby, which I'm sure you are familiar with. It's an old favorite, but I really want you to, again, take this to the next level. And we're really going to start feeling the pelvic floor engage in something like this. So we're going to get onto our backs by way of your side and come down, roll over as best as you can. And if you're not familiar with the happy baby, it's just a glorious stretch for the low back, kind of inside the thighs here. And it's really up to you where your flexibility is at. You can grab your ankles, you can grab your feet, you can grab your toes, you can kind of grab from the inside. It really kind of depends on your comfort and where you're at. But I am going to kind of start with grabbing my ankles since I'm a little bit sore and tight today. And we're going to do 10 breaths. However, we're really going to try and feel that pelvic floor again. So really on that exhale, you're going to draw in. If you can manage to get a Kegel in on that, then that would be awesome. Just kind of do your best here, and let's go for 10 breaths. So we're going to inhale and exhale and inhale and exhale. Really up to you. You can get as much or as little of a stretch as you want to. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Inhale. If your back's a little sore, you can do a Gentle rock, exhale. And let's inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Really get that pelvic floor contracted and engaged. Inhale and exhale. Let's do one more here at the top of your exhale. Let's just hold a Kegel for 5 seconds. So you can do a nice inhale, full expansion, and exhale. Hold your Kegel for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Fully exhale. Good job. Now that might have felt extra weird to you, especially when you're in a different position trying to get Kegel going. So the better you can get at that from different positions, totally awesome. All right, so ready for the next exercise. This is actually going to be where we're really starting to engage our muscles and really starting to do some very subtle strengthening exercises. So we're going to start with a supported squat. And really the goal of this is, and I don't care how low you go, I really just want you to get a chance to start re-engaging some muscles here, really start to thinking about putting our breath together with some movements. And just because you've had a baby, we all know that you're squatting to grab things off the ground, lifting your baby around. So you should be really working at improving these movements so that you're not hurting yourself. So you want to support yourself with either a counter, if you have a TRX or something like that, then you could certainly use that also. I'm just going to use the edge of my bookshelf here, and really kind of up to you on how low that you're going to work it and how wide you want your feet to be. I'm just going to be just slightly greater than hip width apart. I really want to, again, feel the pelvic floor through this and just really feel the breathing through this. And that's really the two things I'm focused on. And of course, you really want to, of course, focus on posture through this. So if you start to feel like your abs are giving out, your glutes are not activating, then really kind of come up from the movement. So we are going to inhale, work our way down, and then we're going to exhale on the way up. So let's do that together. So just nice and easy and gentle. Support yourself as best as you can. You're just going to stick your butt out. Inhale, just kind of lower yourself down. And I'm just going to kind of come right at maybe 90, maybe a little bit above that. My abs are engaged here on this movement, and that is super important. I don't want you rounded. That is not really good. And I can feel my full glute being lengthened. My butt is not tucked under. When you're tucked under like this, glutes are off. And the sign for that is that your quads are burning. So if your quads are burning, that's a no bueno. So let's just do 10 of these. And on the exhale, we are not only are you standing up, but we're going to try and raise that pelvic floor up with your feet. It's kind of a weird visual, but let's go for it. So let's start with inhale down. Hold that position here. We're going to together exhale, stand up. And right when you kind of get to this point here, you can probably feel more of that pelvic floor starting to come back up. And those abs should be solid. So that was one. And here we go. Down, engage the pelvic floor. 2, lower slowly, back nice and tall, abs engaged, good job. And exhale, squeeze in. Harder than it looks, right? Okay, that was 3. Good job. And stand up 4. Squeeze that pelvic floor. Inhale. Down. Keep in posture. Good breathing. Open up those ribs. Hold for a sec. You're going to exhale. Stand up. Get that pelvic floor up. Abs zipped. Good job. That was 5. And down. Good job. And up. 6, good squeeze. You can squeeze your glutes at the top, then relax them and extend them back as you sit back. Glutes are fully lengthened here. Abs are on, that's for sure. You're going to exhale now, stand up, and feel that pelvic floor engage as you stand up. Good job. All right, lower yourself down and stand up. Good squeeze. That's 8. Let's do 2 more here. Inhale, lower down, and exhale. Stand up and squeeze. 1 more. Let's do it. Good job. Lower down, hold, squeeze. Really on this one, stand up really slow and see if you can engage your pelvic floor without doing this butt tilt. And I do see that a lot. Good job. That was awesome. I'm actually breathing a little bit, so I hope you are too. Good work. All right, so ready for the next exercise? We are going to do what I like to call a banded deadlift. And it's really just a hip hinge with a resistance band. And what it really helps to do is not only activate and turn the glutes on, but it really helps to warm up the pelvic floor and kind of get those muscles reactivated again. So you will need a resistance band, and you will need it supported, so you can use it, kind of tie it up to something that's fixed. So let me go grab that here and we'll get going with that. Here is my resistance band, and I have got it here. And definitely want to tie it up. These are amazing to have. If you don't have any for your rehab, you certainly just go on Amazon or something, grab yourself a couple. Excellent. So what you're going to do is you are going to step in and you will walk back until you feel this kind of activate and engage, and almost until you feel like it's pushing your body forward. And really just kind of under that glute here, kind of right under that socket. Really the focus here is that you want to have the pelvis straight. I don't want you leaning forward because the band is pulling you that way, or kind of leaning. You really just want to try and have nice square pelvis for this. Bending your knees a little bit, totally fine. You're going to inhale, exhale, just hinge forward, keeping the abs on and engaged, and not going so far that you feel like you're going to lose balance. Want to make sure that your big toe and feet are grounded into the floor. So we're going to do 10 of these each side. All right, bend forward. That's 1. We're going to inhale, lean forward, and then exhale, stand up. Inhale, lean forward. Exhale, stand up. This is really good training too, especially since you're grabbing babies out of the crib. And exhale, stand up. You know, kind of anything that you're doing, really want you to focus on doing a hip hinge as opposed to kind of this rounded grab. You know, if you're going to lift your baby out of a stroller or bed or something like that, really kind of focus on this hinge here. Get a little lower with the knees if you need to. Good job. Let's do 3 more here. Inhale and exhale. Good job. Now, if you're a superstar and you're able to incorporate some pelvic floor Kegel breathing here, totally good job. Definitely do it. Awesome. Last one. Bend forward, hip hinge. Nice work. Perfect. And you're going to switch legs. We're going to do 10 more here. And this is really good too for training this kind of femur bone to remain in socket as we sort of hip hinge forward. So let's do 10 more breaths here. And inhale, bend forward. Good job. Exhale. Nice. Inhale. And exhale. Good job. Watch those hips every now and again. They do tend to stray. Inhale, bend forward. And exhale, stand up. Good work. Inhale. Hip hinge. Exhale. Good job. Inhale. And exhale. Hopefully you can feel, you know, your glutes starting to work again. Really focus on, you know, your low back. You don't want to be overarched or have too much of a straight back here. 5 more. Let's do it. 1. Good job. Exhale, stand up. And inhale, hinge forward. Good job. Stand up. Exhale. Inhale. Lunge forward. And exhale. Good job. Let's do 2 more. Inhale. Hinge forward. Exhale, stand up. Inhale. And on the exhale, we are going to Kegel up, up, up. Hold, squeeze a Kegel. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good job, rock stars. Awesome. All right. What did you think of that? The next exercise, you're going to need a resistance band and something to sit on. And I'm going to use a stool here. That's kind of what I've got laying around. And this one's kind of fun. And this is really just kind of to help everything, your inner thighs, your pelvic floor, your glutes, kind of engaged and turned on here. And this is what I like to call the seated Stairmaster. And up to you how wide your legs are for this. Of course, the wider your legs are, the more challenging this exercise is going to be. So start where you're at, and we are really just going to inhale and then exhale, push out with the legs. Now, when you get to the open position, really want to focus on, you can even hold a Kegel here. That's something that will make this a little bit more challenging. And then you can inhale, close the legs. So we're going to do that for 10 reps. So inhale, exhale, push out. Hold for 3, 2, 1 with a Kegel, and inhale in. We're going to do that again. So inhale and exhale, push out, Kegel, 3, 2, 1, and relax. Good job. All right, we're just going to do 8 sets of regular ones. If you feel like you are really getting a benefit from holding the Kegel, then totally go for it. So we got 8 more left. So inhale, exhale, push out. Good. That's 1. And 2, push out. 3 and 4. Still use your exhale to engage the pelvic floor, zip up the abs. Super important, even if you don't hold that Kegel. And out for 5. And in. And 6. Good job. 7. And 8. 9. And last one, we're going to hold a 5-second Kegel. So this is 10, holding the Kegel for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, relax. Good job. Hopefully you felt everything working, a little bit of glute, a little bit of inner thigh. You felt that you're able to control some of the muscles of the pelvic floor. This is a really, really good one. I do enjoy it. The slower you go at it, of course, the more engagement you're going to have. And as you progress, you could certainly start with the legs opened up wider and get a little bit more glute engagement. All right, so for our next exercise, we are going to need to get down on the ground on our backs. And these are commonly called knee folds. And they really do help to stabilize the spine, the core, and you are going to get some pelvic floor work with this one. So let's bring ourselves down onto the back. And you want to relax the neck and the shoulders and keep everything in line. And you want both knees bent. And this one is really seems super easy, but there is a lot of work that goes into it. So you really want to focus on keeping the pelvis still, keeping the core engaged. And what we're going to do is we'll start with one knee. You're going to, and you want to get the foot off the ground, maybe just hovering above the ground. You're going to rotate the knee so that it is as close to the ground as possible. And on the way back, you really want to feel some of the different pelvic floor muscles working and engaging. Of course, there is some rotation going on, so your rotators are engaged. But the abs and the core have to be solid in order to go through this motion. So we're going to do 10 on each side. So we're going to inhale, leg is hovering, and exhale, rotate. That's 1. Abs solid and still. Good job. 2. Think about those abs, keeping them solid. Good job. Bring it down for 3. Good job. You may hear a little creaking or cracking. That's normal. 4. Rotate back. And 5. Good job. 6. Keeping everything in your canister solid. 7. 8. You may even feel a little quad burn. 2 more. Let's go. 1. And last one. Good job. 10 more. Other side. Let's go. And this, you may find you have a harder side that wants to lean over. So make sure you're conscious of that and counter that. That was 1, 2, 3, 4, abs solid, guys. Good job. 5, 6, hang in there, almost done. 7, good job. 8, 9, really think about how your pelvic floor is working in this one. Good job. And 10, last one. How'd you do with that one? I got a little quad burn on that. Awesome. Good stuff. Thank you so much for joining me for day 2. And I'll see you in live and see you day 3. Thanks.